Welcome to Whispered Fear, where the shadows hold secrets that will haunt your dreams. Tonight, we're stepping into a story so chilling, so heart-wrenching, it'll make you question the boundaries of love, loss, and the unthinkable. Before we unravel this nightmare, please hit that subscribe button and join the Whispered Fear family. Click the bell to ensure you never miss a tale that'll keep you up at night. Now, turn down the lights, slip on your headphones, and let's enter the home of Emily, a young woman whose curiosity about a forbidden room uncovers a truth too horrifying to bear. In every family, there are rules. Don't leave dishes in the sink. Be home by curfew. In Emily's house, those rules existed, but one stood above them all, unspoken yet absolute. You do not go into mom and dad's bedroom. It wasn't a suggestion or a casual boundary. The door was always locked, a heavy wooden barrier that seemed to pulse with a silent warning. No knocking, no questions, no exceptions. To Emily, that room was a fortress, and she was an intruder, forever barred from its secrets. The prohibition began in her earliest memories, when she was barely tall enough to reach the doorknob. At 6, she first noticed the sound, a soft, rhythmic thump, 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 emanating from behind the door. It was faint, audible only if she pressed her ear to the cool wood in the dim hallway. It came from the far wall, where the bedroom backed against an old linen closet, long and used and sealed shut. At first, she thought it was the house's ancient pipes groaning, but the rhythm was too precise, too deliberate, like a heartbeat trapped in the walls. Curiosity, that relentless spark of childhood, drove her to test the boundaries. On rare occasions, when her parents forgot to lock the door, she'd slip inside, her small feet sinking into the thick, wine-red carpet. The room was always shrouded in shadow, heavy velvet curtains blocking the sun. It smelled of her mother's lavender perfume, faint and floral, mingling with the sharp cedarwood of her father's aftershave. It was an ordinary bedroom, a king-size bed with a quilted headboard, a mahogany dresser, a tall wardrobe looming against the far wall like a silent sentinel. But as she crept closer to the wardrobe, the thumping grew louder, clearer, a desperate pulse from within the wall itself. She never stayed long. Her mother seemed to sense her trespasses, her footsteps echoing in the hall within moments. The look on her face wasn't just anger. It was a raw, animalistic panic, her eyes wide and wild, her features sharp as a blade. Punishment was immediate and severe. No TV, no friends, weeks of confinement to her room. Her father's lectures were worse, delivered in a low, icy monotone that chilled her to the bone. Some places in this house belong to us, he'd say, his voice a blade wrapped in silk. You will respect that, Emily, or you'll regret it in ways you can't imagine. By her teenage years, Emily's curiosity hardened into defiance. One night at dinner, she dared to ask, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Why can't I go in your room? And what's that knocking sound I hear?" The room froze. The clatter of forks on plates ceased. Her father lowered his knife, his gaze pinning her like a specimen under glass. Her mother stared at her plate, her knuckles white, as if gripping the edge of sanity. "There is no knocking," her father said, his voice a quiet storm. "And you will never speak of this again. If you try to enter our room, the consequences will be beyond your comprehension. Am I clear?" Emily nodded, her throat tight, but the question burned inside her, a coal that never cooled. Her mother's behavior only deepened the mystery. She was kind, in her distant way, cooking meals, attending school events, but her free time vanished behind that locked door. Hours would pass. The house silent except for the faint hum of a tuneless melody or soft whispers that carried no words, as if she were speaking to someone who never answered. Emily would linger in the hallway, ear pressed to the door, straining to hear anything beyond the oppressive quiet. Sometimes the thumping would pause as if listening back. Now, at 21, Emily stood on the cusp of freedom. She'd saved enough from her part-time barista job to rent a small apartment across town. The move was days away, but the locked room consumed her thoughts. It was a shadow that had followed her through childhood, a ghost at every family meal, a weight she couldn't carry into her new life. She had to know. This was her last chance. She confronted her father one final time, her voice trembling. "Dad, please, before I go, tell me what's in your room." His face darkened, the proud father replaced by the cold guardian of secrets. "Your new life starts when you leave this house," he said, his words heavy with finality. "What's here belongs to the past. Leave it behind, Emily. All of it." His refusal was the spark she needed. The next morning, she watched from her bedroom window as her parents' cars pulled out of the driveway, their taillights fading into the dawn. The house was hers. Her heart pounded like a war drum as she crept to the kitchen, to the ceramic pig-shaped cookie jar where spare keys were kept. Her fingers closed around a single brass key, cold as death. Standing before the bedroom door, she hesitated, the key trembling in her hand. The air felt thick, as if the house itself were holding its breath. She slid the key into the lock, the click echoing like a gunshot. The door swung open, revealing the familiar dimness, the lavender and cedar scent, the wardrobe looming against the far wall. And there it was, thump, 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 stronger now, a plea from beyond the plaster. Emily crossed the room, her footsteps muffled, her breath shallow. Kneeling beside the wardrobe, she pressed her ear to the wall. The sound was right there, inches away, a weak but relentless rhythm. Flesh on wood. Her pulse roared in her ears. She didn't know why she spoke, but the words slipped out, a whisper. "Hello? Is someone there?" The thumping stopped. The silence was a void, pressing against her eardrums. Then a voice, faint, rasping, feminine, like a whisper from a grave. Hey. Emily recoiled, her heart lurching. She must have misheard, but the voice came again, stronger, a desperate plea. "Kill me, please." Her mind spiraled. Someone was trapped. Her parents. Were they monsters? Kidnappers? She stared at the wardrobe, its bulk deliberately placed to conceal something. Adrenaline surged. She gripped its sides, heaving with all her strength. The heavy wood groaned, scraping across the carpet inch by inch, revealing a hidden door painted to blend with the wall. A simple brass knob gleamed in the dim light. Her hand shook as she turned the knob. The door creaked open, revealing a small, windowless room, no larger than a closet. It was a shrine to a life she'd never known. Tiny dresses hung from a hook, their fabric faded. A dusty mobile with pastel animals swayed faintly. A stack of photo albums sat on the floor, one labeled "Our Angel" in her mother's looping handwriting. Emily opened it, her breath catching. Her parents, younger and radiant, held a baby with dark hair and her father's eyes. A sister she'd never known. In the room center was a makeshift altar draped in yellowed lace. Surrounded by candles, some fresh, some melted to stubs, lay a small, silk pillow. On it was a body, a mummified infant, its skin like brittle parchment stretched over a fragile skeleton. Its eyes were closed, its mouth a tiny black void. It was grotesque, a relic preserved in a perverse act of devotion. Emily's knees buckled. She reached out, drawn by an inexplicable urge, and touched the cold, dry forehead. The world shattered. Visions flooded her mind, alien yet vivid. A hospital room, sterile and cold. her mother sobbing into her father's chest as a doctor murmured, "I'm so sorry. Your daughter is gone." Her parents in this room, cradling the still body, her father drawing a red chalk circle on the floor, his voice frantic. "We can bring her back. The book said so. We just need to anchor her." They placed the body on the altar, chanting words that twisted the air, the candles flickering out as the tiny form twitched once, unnaturally. Emily felt her sister's spirit, trapped, aware, suffering in a decaying shell. A mind growing, learning, but unable to move or speak, only able to knock, endlessly, against the wall. Her voice screamed in Emily's head, "Please kill me." Emily stumbled back, a sob tearing from her throat. Her parents weren't captors. They were broken, consumed by grief so deep they'd committed an unspeakable act to keep their daughter's spirit tethered. This was her sister, imprisoned in death. There was only one thing to do. Emily grabbed a blanket from the bed, wrapped the fragile body, and placed it in her duffel bag. She left the hidden door open, the wardrobe askew, a silent accusation. Dropping the key on the kitchen table, she walked out, the house's oppressive silence chasing her. She drove for hours, the visions unrelenting. Her sister's gratitude mixed with decades of agony, her parents' crushing grief. In a desolate scrapyard, surrounded by rusted relics, Emily built a pyre. She laid her sister's body on it, whispering apologies for a life stolen, for parents lost to madness. With a match, she set it ablaze, the flames consuming the tiny form. As the ashes rose, Emily wept for the sister she never knew, the parents she could never face, and the monstrous mercy she'd performed. Her parents would return to find the truth exposed. They'd hate her, despise her for freeing their daughter, for destroying their fragile illusion. Emily had saved her sister, but at the cost of her family. The weight of that choice would follow her forever. That was The Locked Room Secret, a haunting tale of love twisted into horror. If this story left your heart pounding, smash that like button, share it with your bravest friends, and subscribe to Whispered Fear for more bone-chilling tales every week. Click the bell to stay locked in, and let me know in the comments. Would you have opened that door? Sleep tight if you dare.